Okay, so we're going to talk about right now, we're going to talk about mastering your mindset. You might want to take notes or screenshots of this, whatever you see fit. But this was straight out of the gate. So I'm taking these notes from the handout I got this morning from Dave Anderson, who is my favorite all-time leadership trainer. Like if I was, and the reason I want, and I'm going to show you how to get his information for free, his podcast, as I go through this, I'm going to give you marching orders. But I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second. I want to look you in the face for this one real quick, if you don't mind. Real quick, I got to look you in the face to tell you this. Is the first time that I saw Dave Anderson speak, I was at a conference that was it's called the Provision Conference. My pastor's an entrepreneur. He's been a business owner for 30 some years, a pastor for 20 some years. That's why I probably resonate with our church so well, is everybody's entrepreneurial minded. I mean, we've got some we've got every walk of life in our church, and we've got some massive multimillionaires in there. And we started at this little tiny dinky church inside an old radio station that was a house here in Columbus, Ohio, that was just a living room. It was a house converted into a radio station, and inside the living room was where our church was. We have now close to 3,000 members at our church. We're now getting ready to open another, I think 50 or 60 or 70,000 square foot facility, another one. And then my pastor's on TV every day, 5 days a week minimum, worldwide. Okay. But he does this conference every year where people fly in from all over the world. And it's a 3-day conference that that entrepreneurs come in. What's really cool is they always ask me a lot of times to be the MC. So I get in there for free. I get to eat, a lot of times they have me do these breakout sessions. However, Dave Anderson has been the keynote speaker twice. He's spoken for 6 sessions. And the first time I ever heard Dave Anderson speak, okay, so understand this is me still in my networking career this whole time. And I was very frustrated with how things were going at the time when I went and heard him speak. And when I went with my wife, Stacy, when we came home after the first session, it was about an hour long. I came home, Stacy and I sat in our little room where we read, in the little lobby, kind of reading room. And I laid on the floor on my back and cried because of the impact of just that 1 hour session this guy had with me, of changing my mindset and learning leadership principles that I had forgotten, and in a lot of the parts I didn't even know it. And I kid you not, this is not an exaggeration. Immediately after that week, I studied his 3 sessions. I listened to him over and over again about building a high performance culture, about 8 steps of leadership and things like that. And a lot of stuff you guys have probably heard me say, a lot of it I get from him. But by learning what he said in those things and applying those things, I literally overnight was the number 2 money earner in a company that was 4 years old. Literally within 6 months, I was the number 2 money earner, making great money, and built a humongous team with it and stuff like that. So what I'm about to share with you is kind of a Cliff Notes version of what I got this morning, but it's that good. And I just wanted to make sure that as I go through this, you realize that there's a purpose to everything that I'm posting on here. These are from him and so on. And that's why I wanted to preface that with this kind of info, or that first, so that you get this. Okay, so let's talk about mastering your mindset. Mike, get to it, okay? This is something that everybody needs to know: is life rewards action, not wisdom, not experience, not knowledge, or talent. That should be or talent, not of talent, or talent, okay? Knowledge or talent. This is real important, okay? So he gave us basically 9 things. So we're going to go through those 9 things. First and foremost, he said that the mindset determines whether you see the past 3 months as a stumbling block or a stepping stone. And I personally, mentally, have been affected by this lockdown. I've gone through a basket full of emotions, like probably most people. Sure, we can all put a good mindset, a good front on of how things are going. But there have been times when it's been hard to wake up and get out of bed because we were running on ground. And this was stuff that a lot of people in the room were conveying too. It was like it's like been like Groundhog Day. And the guy that actually hosted the event, what was funny is he actually got up in front and he was talking about this. He said his worst phrase that he keeps hearing, all the cliche phrase was alone together. Alone together. He's like, that's the worst one. And I start thinking, and he's like, the problem with what's been going on is it's like if you have an issue, it's hard to talk to your neighbor about it because they're going through the same issue in most cases. And a lot of people have been like that. So here's the thing is, as I personally think that it's okay to recognize that people can be emotional creature. We're all emotional. I mean, God created us with emotions. He created with the ability to come out of those things at the same time. But what Dave was laying out for us right here was this. He said, you have to make the decision that are your past 3 months going to be the stumbling block or the stepping stone? Because I have watched, and at first this was kind of some scary stuff, right? I wasn't scared at all about the virus in my opinion, and don't get me started on that. I was more afraid of, it's not afraid, it was sadness that I've been affected by, of seeing people hurt. Because in networking, if you look at networking, the biggest leaders, usually the people, I mean, this is probably a 99 out of 100, are the biggest givers, they have the most, they put their hearts on their sleeves, they're more transparent, they lay their lives down for other people, right? And when you're into that, like I have been, a lot of times it's hard to comprehend that you can't help some of these things that are going on. You don't have control. But, I believe that we're getting out of that. I really do believe, and I've said this from day one, from the time we've had these conversations together with you guys, that I believe that this setback is going to be a setup for your future. This setback is going to be a setup for your future, okay? Number 2, mindset determines whether your goal going forward is to get back to normal or become better than before. And this one was easy to do for a lot of people, to just kind of go even Steven, don't do anything, go into a holding pattern, that kind of thing. There were quite a few people that I watched though this entire time during this issue that we've had going on, that pressed forward, and you've set yourself up. Okay, now here's the thing. This is not in any way, shape, or form to be taken as condemnation for inactivity for right now. You know why? Because you cannot control what happened in the past. It's over, it's done. You can control, by the way we are learning together, our mindset, how to move forward, okay? How to become better than we are before. The one thing that I did do was I got myself determined to get back to knowing, being optimistic that I knew this was not going to last, that this was not the zombie apocalypse a lot of people thought it was going to be, that people are going to come out of this. A lot of people are going to come out better than before, okay? And what I did is I took the time every morning. I always read positive things, okay? And I typically went through a lot of my days, watching positive things, getting onto things. If you think about, Tommy mentioned this yesterday about what Boom TV did. Instead of Holton crying about, oh my gosh, we just got back from the most amazing conference of all time in April, and everybody's crushing it. He gave every bonus you could think of possibly that our comp plan could handle, all kinds of promotions and everything. And all of a sudden, hey, sorry, sorry, the world's closed. Moose should have told you at the front there, right? and everybody, and what they did was what Holton did is he took the time to make sure that they were going to be proactive, and they did it. And a lot of people plugged into that. So if you're one of those people, I commend you for that. Now, this one right here, I had forgotten how significant it was. And Dave said this, and I was like, holy smokes, that saying right there is money. You will lose your way. You will lose your way when you lose your why. You will lose your way when you lose your why. And at the end of this, right after track 9, I'm going to show you the podcast that you can get where Dave Anderson explains how to properly define your why to the point that it moves you to action. Okay. Now, you may not need to go through these action steps as I get to them if you're just looking for hobby type money in this thing. But if you're looking to do something significant to change your outcome, to change your income, these things are gold. Because I remember my first biggest why. I think I was in my second networking company. So my first networking company in 1997, my daughter Alexis was born, and I had a little tiny picture of her that I would keep in my notebook when I would go do presentations. That's all I had. Is this? It was one of those, paper notepads. You got your notepad here, and I would have a little flip chart in there, and I'd go do one-on-one presentations. But every time I opened it, I had my picture of my daughter there, because I had made the decision that I was going to do networking. That's what I wanted to do. I wasn't even for the money. Well, it was for the money, but the definition was the freedom that I was going to get to be able to stay around and watch my daughter grow up, because I'd watched so many people in the past and people I knew that they had these 9-to-5 jobs or 9-to-11 jobs, and they were just pushing their kids to daycare, getting babysitters, and so on. And I was always raised kind of as a family first type of person. And when I had my daughter, obviously everything changed. I went from this, rough and crazy bouncer to this loving and caring and protective, dad, right? I mean, obviously I was a protective husband, but when you've got a kid, when you've got a daughter, I mean, I know where to hide the body if you have mess around with the family kind of thing. So we'll leave it at that. But that, when I define my why as that, it didn't matter. I didn't care how many no's I got, nothing. It was moving forward time at a rapid pace. So this one I had to stay on this one a little longer, because redefining your why of what you saw the very first time when you signed up online with this company is what's going to get you through anything good that goes on. It is going to be the thing that moves you to action. Okay. So let's go to number 4, build your mindset daily. How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? We've all heard those things. This is so significant right here that, and sadly, it's so overlooked, because here's the other thing is your mind is like a file cabinet, and what you put in it stays in it. And the thing is you can put negative or you can put positive, and you can see the people, the outcomes of their life based on the mindset that they've created, but it typically came from the daily activities or the behaviors that they instilled, that they began to create. I mean, Jim Rohn, we all know Jim Rohn's he sadly passed away, but he's got he's been one of the most talked about trainers, especially in the network marketing industry, for leadership and basics. But he said, work harder on yourself than you do on your business. Always said that. Work harder on yourself than you do on your business. And I've always told you guys, and I've really tried to repeat this multiple times now, is that you have to really, really remember to chase mentorship, not money, because the mentorship will teach you the skills, the mindsets, the activities, the behaviors, and the money is just a reward for that. Literally, the income you earn is typically based on the the personal development you've taken yourself to. In a lot of cases, people don't really understand that. Okay. Now, number 5, focus more intensely on activities than outcomes. Okay. I'm going to stick on this one for a second, and I'm going to read the bottom part. You don't necessarily have to love the process, but you must focus on the outcome. The scoreboard takes care of itself if you focus on being brilliant in the basics. Okay, I've mentioned, hopefully you guys have heard me say that multiple times over the past about becoming brilliant in the basics. Usually, I learned a long time ago that if I identified my top 5 or top 4 core tasks that were money-making activities, and all I did was focus on those only, because the activity is the only thing that you can control. You can't control the outcome. The problem most people have in recruiting, specifically in recruiting as an example, building a team is part of recruiting, right? Recruiting, you recruit people, you introduce them to build a team, is they focus too much on the outcome. And because they do that, when they get a no, it puts them on tilt. They almost can't recover because they put so much focus on that. Whereas I've always learned to say less to more people, become the messenger, not the message, those types of things, and become brilliant in the basics of doing the 5 things that I've always taught you guys. And that was the thing, is that mindset has enabled me to do that. Because the other thing, my wife Stacy always has mentioned, she's like, man, I can't believe that you don't take this stuff so personally. She goes, I don't know how you could do networking sometimes, because you, and I said, well, I've just learned that's the outcome wasn't the thing that was going to make me money. It was the activity, the behavior. The behavior is always what made me the money. So when I focused on being brilliant at the basic behavior, I always got the outcome I was looking for. I always got the outcome I was looking for. I know that if I don't care what I say or how I say it. If I say, hey, check out this website and let me know what you think. If I said that to 1,000 people, I promise you I will sponsor people. That's it. That's it. If I just said, I don't know if you'd be interested or not, but I'm going to send you a website to look at some really cool info. If it makes sense, let me know. If I did that, because I learned that, I read that multiple times, and after reading it multiple times in multiple books by multiple multimillionaires, I was kind of came to the conclusion that success left clues, and that was something that I needed to get my mindset right to do, was become brilliant in the basics, and it's never, ever failed. Okay, number 6, continue to build a killer instinct and mental toughness by changing your basis. Now this one, I'm going to try my best to give you this one, but he was talking about you improve your confidence. What is the basis? Improving your confidence by doing something uncomfortable. Okay, when you do something uncomfortable, what happens, in my opinion, when you start to do these things, like recruiting is not necessarily something comfortable for most people. Okay. Introducing people to business opportunities is not usually comfortable. But what I learned was that as I did it and got into the uncomfortable zone, right after that was the fun zone, the money zone. Okay. But it's like, Joyce Meyer, if you don't know her, she's a lady preacher, TikToks, she does really cool stuff. But one of my favorite things I've ever heard her say was, you got to learn how to do it afraid. You got to learn how to do it afraid. The thing is if your why's big enough, your fear goes away. If your why's big enough, your fear goes away, or at least it lessens. It lessens you may never get rid of that, in the back of your head. Well, what are they going to say? Or what are they going to think of me? Here's what I figured out about what are they going to think about me. If they ain't paying my bills, I could care less what they think about me. I'm just looking for the ones that raise their hand and say yes. Somebody way back when asked me, would you like to have sponsored me? And I promise you, at the time that they sponsored me, I was the least likely candidate you would thought would be a multi-million-dollar earner in network marketing. I promise. Okay. Many people are like that. Many people are like that. You may picture yourself like that too. Remember at the very beginning, I talked about your belief level. Here's where you can become optimistic in your outcomes is by improving your mindset and how you operate. Okay. Let's go to that one. I thought I had this one on here. Number 7, practice the daily discipline of being both positive and optimistic, and they are not the same thing. Okay. You can have a positive attitude, but being optimistic is, you can be confident in being optimistic if you've done the disciplines to get you there. Okay. If that makes sense. I can be confident. I can be very optimistic that I'm going to make a ton of money in this company and build a massive team of lots of fun people to be around because I have disciplined myself to read daily, to listen to the right material and read the right things. That gives me the right to be positively optimistic. If all you do is watch three-letter newscasts that everybody hates everybody, everybody's killing everybody, and then you go on social media and you engage in all of that, you do not have the right to be optimistic about the future. It's impossible. But if you are doing the right activities, like Darlene and Mick have the right to be optimistic about being sapphire, about being ruby, about being emerald, about being diamond, because they're doing the right activities. Tony Stewart has the right to be optimistic about those types of things as well, because he's done the daily disciplines. I've watched him for years. Brian Richardson, how I mentioned on here, who I said to have something, they're doing daily activities that easily give them the ability to be positively optimistic about having the largest organization in all of the Caribbean, because they're doing the daily disciplines, because they have conditioned their mindset. They've done the right things way back when. Number 8, leverage level to accountability. This was a little more complicated, but I'm going to give you cliff notes on this one. Okay. Dave was talking about the leverage level to accountability. And number 4, and it goes, 4 being the worst, 1 being the best, is a lot of times you may need these types of things to become a better person. Is when your number 4 it's a lot of times it's no accountability. You do something wrong, no one cares. No one disciplines people, that kind of thing. These are the kind of the things that are going on out there that you would see chaos, right? No accountability. Then there's top-down accountability with maybe they have a manager or they have somebody that maybe they work with or something that they bounce off of. Number 2 is peer-to-peer, which would be, you and maybe your sponsor or your significant upline. And then as you get to the master level of this, Yoda level, it's yourself. When you can have an honest conversation with yourself about where you're at and are you in accountability, and then make those course corrections to put you back on course if you're off, or applaud yourself if you're on the right track. This is where a lot of people need to be. Okay. Number 9, approach each day with the goal of making it a masterpiece. Okay. Kind of putting all this together and winding this thing down. Approaching each day with the goal of making it a masterpiece was really good. He said something along the lines of, he said, I'm going to grab my book, my notes real quick. If I can find, I got notes on here. Maybe I've wrote all over the place. I don't remember which one it was, but he basically said that, oh, here it is. Stop going through the day but get all you can out of the day. Stop just going through the day, but get all you can out of the day. And again, this is going to come down to a daily discipline of maybe making, he talked about making your list of 4 things that are your biggest daily priorities. Okay. Your biggest priorities that you can get done that go in line with getting you to the place that your goal is. Okay. So if you've defined your why, okay, which is the most important, then now you're going to be able to construct your mindset stuff, the thing that you're going to do. And I'm going to give you some pointers on here in a second, which will then show you, you break it down by piece, right? You're kind of layering it down. Will show you you'll then know what or how many of the behaviors or activities daily that you need to do to masterpiece your day, to make sure that your day, like I mentioned, when I, years ago, when I won one of those, a networking contest where I won $50,000, I knew that if I that I could control how many presentations I gave every day, or basically how many introductions I could do. And my goal was to do 10 a day for 5 months. And I don't think there was very often that I even missed a day. And I ended up being the #1 recruiter for that contest. I got a $50,000 cash bonus. Plus, it launched my business. It created a big business for me. Okay. So, oh, there it was. I wondered if I forgot I had it on here. List the 4 biggest priorities daily that get you closer to your goal. And you're going to, and I'm going to give you the why stuff here in a second, because it's going to help you address these things. And some of these might be your 4 biggest priorities for your business. And you may even have a list that's, you know, your 4 biggest priorities for your health, your 4 biggest priorities for spiritual growth, that kind of thing. Okay. So you can bite these up, that kind of thing, that'll get you closer to your goal. All right. So here's my marching orders for you right now. Is Dave Anderson has a podcast called The Game Changer Life. Right here, you can see it. The Game Changer Life. It is on iTunes and it is on Spotify. All right. Number 8. So he has over 200. You can see he's got 210 episodes. But if you go on either one of these and scroll all the way to the bottom, he actually mentioned this today. That's why I knew which one it was. And I already listened to it today since I got back. Was The Power of Why, number 8. Okay. And it's I think it's 18 minutes long. It is so strong. But here's what I would suggest that you do is, and Dave, I just like Dave. Okay. Dave might not be your guy, but like Tony kind of said at the beginning, he's a no fluff, straight to the point. That's the kind of guy I resonate the best with, is pull that stinking Band-Aid off. I don't care how much hair is attached to it. Rip that chicken off so I can get to it, right? That's how I like to be taught myself, straight to the point. And Dave does that. He's very, 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 very good though. Very, very good at how he will teach you to take different things. And if you start, I'm telling you, if you take the time to listen to this, I could literally, if I think about this for a second, if I challenged you and said, see, there's 210 episodes, what if I told you that you would earn $200,000 a year if you listened to all 200 episodes? Would you or would you not do it? Right? I'm sure the answer would probably be yes. But a lot of people don't understand the significance of the mindset, of changing your mindset and getting to the right place that makes all the stuff, all the cool websites that I put together, all the systems I put together, all that amazing cool stuff that I put out there, right? It doesn't mean anything if you, all those things don't, if you don't take the action to do it, because your mindset's not right and your confidence isn't there. Does that make sense?